Welcome, superheroes, to the Dandy Bugle, where I, Dandelion, interview members of the real life superhero movement on their involvement with hero work and public community service. Today, we have the Justice Foundation Green Lantern joining the crime scene, wearing their amazing green super suit. Welcome, darling. I hope you're doing well today.
I'm doing all right today. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Could be better, could be worse.
Oh, it
Why
can
don't,
always be worse or better.
oh, yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself and describe your work to the audience before we get started?
I am, as Dandelion already said, I am the Justice Foundation's Green Lantern. I'm part of a large international network of real life superheroes based off DC characters. My work specifically, I'm very multifaceted. I try to do anything I can get my grubby little white gloves on. But I have a special focus on unhoused outreach and Palestinian outreach with families in Gaza. I work directly with Palestinian families.
So, to get started with this interview, I am going to ask you who is your favorite fictional superhero, if it wasn't a little bit obvious, and who is your favorite non-fictional superhero?
So, favorite fictional superhero. Well, you know,
Yeah.
um, it is Green Lantern, but it's only been that way for the past 3 years or so. And I chose this persona before Green Lantern was even my favorite superhero. So I kind of grew the persona with the character. Growing up, it was Spider-Man, and my other favorites are Human Torch and Daredevil and Cyclops.
What about your favorite non-fictional superhero?
Favorite non-fictional superhero is tough, um, but right now I'm going to have to hand it to Skyline, which is kind of the obvious answer. He's just such a fun presence and someone who I really enjoy talking to, and their just videos and their thorough research and their dedication to his craft.
What inspired you to join the RLSH community? Was it your favorites?
Well, um, I have wanted to do this for as long as I can remember. I mean, every kid dreams of being a superhero, right? I didn't know until way after I wanted to do this that there were more out there.
Hmm. So you sort of found this community and decided,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I decided that I wanted to do this before I even found the community. Um,
Hmm.
and it goes back to even when I was like 3 years old. I was talking with my Nana the other day, and she was talking about how when she was taking care of me as a toddler, I told her about how I wanted to be a pilot. Um, and then my Nana was like, "Well, when you grow up, maybe you can get your pilot's license." And then little 3-year-old me looked back at her and said, "Well, then there'd be no superheroes left in Texas." So it's been always. Yeah.
When did when did you join the RLSH community? Like how long ago was it?
So I have been active for about, come December of this year, I will have been active for 2 years. Um, like active, active.
What is your favorite part of being in the RLSH community?
In the community, so favorite part of being an RLSH or favorite part of being in the community?
Both.
Both. Okay. So my favorite part of being in the community, I just love all of the weird, zany characters that you come across. They're so fun to me. I enjoy talking to everyone and hearing their very unique outview because you don't get into this kind of thing if you're at least a little bit if you're not at least a little bit kooky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What is your
Uh,
least favorite part of the community? Like what is something that you could change or you would change if you could?
I think this is actually a very easy one for me. I think the RLSH community has a big problem with toxic masculinity. Um, and a lot of people are in this because it's a power fantasy for them, or they want to be badass and intimidating and all of that. And so I would easily say, and I've just seen how a lot of want people that want to be RLSH or that already are. I've seen how they treat women, how they treat their peers or people that they view as beneath them. So I would easily say the biggest problem in the RLSH community is toxic masculinity.
So what was your first mission like? How did you feel going out on that?
So my very first mission, my I had a first team mission, then I had a first solo mission. My first team mission, it was a children's hospital visit. I had a connection up at the Ronald McDonald House of Fort Worth. Um, so it was really nice to just bring joy to these kids and speak with them and teach them about the stars a little bit, and so that was a great mission. And then we kind of did an unofficial patrol slash photo shoot the next day, um, and from there it was just smooth sailing. And this was in December 2024, like I mentioned earlier.
Mm. How did you come across that opportunity?
Again, I just kind of always wanted to do it. Um, my best friend was a Flash cosplayer, and at some point in the middle of the night one night, they just approached me and there was like, "Hey, I have this idea," um, and it just kind of happened from there.
How do you decide where to do patrol and outreach? You said you also work with Palestinian outreach?
Yes. So the Palestinian outreach, it's all online. Um, how a lot of these families came across me is because I would comment under Palestinian fundraising videos, trying to boost them in the algorithm and stuff like that. So a lot of them would approach me in the comment session or in my DMs and stuff like that. And from there, I would just do the best I could to help them. Um, and some of them have even become my friends, not just charity cases. I speak with a lot of them near on the daily.
What kind of tools do you carry with you when you're on patrol?
I am so glad you asked because I have everything here with me right now. So obviously the main feature is the gauntlet. Um, so I have a green safety kind of search and rescue light,
Nice.
two brighter setting, dimmer setting, and then a strobe setting. Um, and then also mounted on the gauntlet is a laser pointer. It snapped off in the drive home today while in my bag, but it'll let me kind of, I don't know how well that's showing on camera,
Oh
but this
yeah.
is mostly for kids. I like to project stars and stuff like that and everything. So kids love that. And there was one time where I was doing a children's reading at a local church of mine. I was doing a reading for kids, and I I did the thing with I did the light show for them and I projected out onto the ceiling and all these kids just, mouths hanging open, drooling, just pure shock and awe on their face. But the moment that was really special for me is when I looked over to their teacher and she had that exact same look on her face.
What would you say is the strangest thing that you've seen on a mission?
So there was a guy. This was my first solo mission in downtown Fort Worth. A huge unhoused handout that I did. Um, he was under Lancaster Bridge, which is one of the larger encampments in Fort Worth, and he was clearly very intoxicated. Um, but he was very, very happy to see me. Um, and so we kind of talked for a bit, and we laughed, and I offered him a sandwich and a water, and then he asked for a second water, and I was like, you know what? I have 30. I have enough to go around. Sure, you can have a second water. And then he unscrewed the cap, and then he started pouring it on me because I mean it was a Texas summer, so I was burning up in the suit, and he was like, "You look hot, man," uh, and all that. So he started pouring water down my head, and it was so strange, but such a genuine moment of human connection. And then he kind of bumped into me a little bit, and this is when I had my really armored heavy suit, and he felt that the armor was hard, and he kind of like sort of play fighting me a little bit. And as he was play fighting, his knuckle tapped the armor, and so he was like, "Wait a second!" And then he just gave a full just punch to the armor just to see if it could take it, and it did. Not even a scratch on it. So that was definitely the strangest moment I had, but it was a real genuine and sweet one.
Do you think that the super suit is necessary for hero work?
For I don't think it's necessary to do good. However, I do think it's necessary to call attention to it because the way I see it, being an RLSH, it's kind of the marriage between community service and performance art. Um, that's how I see it. So when you're going out there and you're calling attention to yourself while you're doing these good things, you're kind of making a statement of like, look at me, we should all be doing this. Um, we should all be uplifting and supporting our unhoused neighbors or families in Gaza, and all of that. So that's kind of why I do it, and that's why I go so brightly colored and flamboyant with it. There was a line in the Supergirl movie recently where David Cornsweet Superman, he holds up the Superman suit and he goes, "I know it's colored brightly, but that's just so everyone knows we're good."
Do you think that physical training or martial arts is necessary for hero work?
I don't think so. I think stamina is the most important thing, um, especially if you're not going to the more dangerous areas of the city. Because that's one thing I've learned is that most of most of the people you're out there trying to help, most of them aren't dangerous. Um, Especially if you're dressed in such a brightly colored domino mask. Like, you're very clearly a superhero. Most of these people, they're not, they're going to feel safe and therefore they won't act violently or anything like that. So I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it is helpful.
So what makes a hero in your eyes if it's not the suit?
Just someone who tries every day to do the right thing, who constantly may not always make the right choices, but someone who tries. That is, and is willing to make sacrifices in pursuit of their efforts to be a hero.
Is keeping a secret identity necessary for hero work?
Well, I was watching Tan Man's interview while at work the other day, and he put it a lot better than I would have. Where he was like, "I don't want anyone who knows Green Lantern first to know me, but anybody that knows me can know that I'm also Green Lantern." You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, and that was definitely the right call for me because I could not do this without the support of a lot of my friends and family. Um, because my main thing is that I need to know that what I'm doing matters, and having people that believe in what I'm doing, that that helps because I don't need attention. I just need to know that it matters.
How do you manage mission anxiety?
Well, I actually have a playlist of a bunch of scores that remind me of the character. So I have part of the Tron Legacy soundtrack on there. I have Jupiter by Gustav Holst, some of the Fantastic Four soundtrack. I just have a big playlist of scores from different movies that remind me of the character and help me get, hyped and all of that. It's called my Mission
Mhm.
Night playlist.
What was the inspiration behind your suit? I know that you have the custom what's it
Yes,
called? Brand?
the emblem is what
The
I
emblem.
call it. Emblem logos symbol here. I have the prototype version of that one here, so the viewers can get a
Ooh,
closer look at it.
nice.
Um, So what I went for here is it's kind of like the Star Trek badge. So the Starfleet emblem, it has uh, it has that that kind of point, that A shape, and then it has that line going down the middle with the little shape of the ship.
Uh-huh.
So I did that. I really like the 8-point star. I like the way it represents direction and growth. So instead of the ship, I did the 8-point star, um, and that kind of created the negative space that's usually just a circle in the regular Green Lantern emblem. As for the rest of the suit, Um, what I do is, being such a big Green Lantern fan, just in the comics, what I do is I kind of craft my own Green Lantern world. I have my own version of Oa that I've come up with. I have my own ideas for like the suit progression and everything. Um, so I kind of see my old suit, my old like armored alien knight suit, as kind of like that's kind of my version of the standard issue Green Lantern suit. And this one is a little more directly Hal Jordan inspired. It's very like Star Trek uniform piloty, all of that stuff. And then my next one is just straight up is a Green Lantern themed spacesuit that I'm working on.
So are you currently on a superhero team? I know you're a part of the Justice Foundation, so could you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned before, about 3 years ago, the Flash came with me. The Flash came to me with the idea for the Justice Foundation, and I was on board immediately. And from there, we grew, and now we have this thing that we're all so passionate about. We all support each other both financially, physically, um, craftsman wise and all of that. And so, like I was saying earlier, that I couldn't do this without my friends and family, I couldn't do this without my team. And even though we don't get to physically work together often, we do collaborate on pretty much everything.
Do you guys like often come together for certain charitable foundations or goals in your community?
Kind of, yes. We do it when we can. A lot of us are on the, on the broker side, so we don't get to come together as often as we like, because, just, we have busy, busy, busy lives. Most recently, we went to SpaCon in Hot Springs, Arkansas, a smaller convention. We were there collecting donations, networking, and stuff like that, and all of that. So that was really fun. The Flash and Wonder Woman came up for that, and also some members of my chapter of the Justice Foundation that I founded and lead, the Lanterns Corps. So we had a couple members, Orion and Dove Blue, who is kind of sporting a Guy Gardner inspired outfit, but will eventually be a Blue Lantern.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Um, how how do you manage to balance your hero identity and your and your civilian identity?
Well, the thing is I try to take a step back and I observe it I kind of try to disassociate myself from my life and I observe it from an outside point of view. And when you really look at it like that, you realize it, it's unconventional, yes, but it's like any other hobby. If you're passionate about it, you make time for it and you work hard at it. Because the reality is that uh, and I know this is rich coming from someone that has a persona of an existing character, but the reality of it is that you're not Batman, you're not Spider-Man. That hero life balance isn't as tough as these stories make it seem because that creates drama. It's like anything else.
So why do you and your team represent DC superheroes?
Well, it, DC is the way it's structured is very much like a pantheon. Um, the Marvel, it's structured like a soap opera. Those heroes are all meant to be relatable. They're very flawed. DC, they're kind of they're still very complex and flawed characters, especially now in their more modern stories. But they're a lot more like heroes that we can look up to, as opposed to heroes that are down on the ground with us. Um, so you have all of these characters that we draw inspiration from. So like me, it's Hal Jordan, and I, because he's a fictional character and because he's what I think is the modern equivalent of the Greek god Apollo, be as fearless as Hal Jordan, but as long as I chase that, I will keep getting better and better and better and better. Um, and that's a goalpost that I can never ever hit. So it keeps me honest, it keeps me accountable, um, and it's the same thing. So recently, or last year actually, recently in December 2025, I joined the Flash and Wonder Woman on an handout, and there was a woman who came up to us and was really receptive to us and was talking with us. And she was in her helmet and she said her nickname on the streets was Wonder Woman because she doesn't take crap from anybody. And it was a really sweet interaction. And so our Wonder Woman gave this woman, her tiara. And as the woman held it, she started to tear up a little bit. And so I offered her a hug, and she was hesitant at first because she was a rape victim. And I said, no problem, take your time. I'll give you your space. Completely understandable. And after a few more seconds, she just started break down and crying in my arms. You can't really, I think you can't achieve that without pre-existing characters, but to be seen like that, for people to feel safe around you, they recognize these characters as heroes already. It kind of takes out the middleman, so to speak.
What are your team dynamics like?
It's about exactly how you expect. Over time, as I've started to engage with the RLSH community more and more, I noticed how people are kind of surprised by the way we interact with each other. Most recently with me and Batgirl were in a call with Batman of San Jose, and we were just kind of going back and forth. Me and Batgirl were kind of going back and forth, bickering at each other and laughing and stuff. And everyone in that call, and I believe you were there too, seemed kind of surprised at how comfortable we were with each other. So yeah,
So it is very, very close, tightly knit.
yes, very much so.
What are some of the prerequisites for being in the Justice Foundation? Like, what kind of personalities are most attractive to your team?
So the number one most immediate thing is have to be legal adult, 18. That's hard boundary with all of us. Um, we tend to look for craftsmanship. Um, we tend to look for craftsmanship and just big personalities, people who have a genuine passion for a character they cosplay or a character they like or anything like that. Um, we since we use these heroes for inspiration to go out and do good, we believe that everyone in the Justice Foundation should be able to write a thesis on whatever character they chose. And there's not a single member in there right now that they don't feel confident that they'd be able to do that.
Are there any DC heroes that the Justice Foundation are still looking for?
Yes, stay tuned for that because we are trying to workshop a casting call system. It's all very touch and go at the moment. So we are workshopping a casting call system. I am always pursuing other lanterns. Applications for the Lanterns Corps are still up on my page. Um, so and so I'm always looking for more lanterns. I always want to be able to empower other people to do good. And for the more specific characters like say Martian Manhunter or Mr. Terrific, those are two that we've had a lot of talks about lately. Um, or Black Canary is another one. Um, we so yeah, we're looking for those kind of characters whose personalities kind of fit that, so we can draw most inspiration from the characters we possibly can.
Tell me a little bit about the Lantern Corps. How many lanterns do you have so far?
At the moment, let's see, there is uh, a Blue/Guy Gardner. There's Orion, who is in the Lanterns Corps because they live close to me. So they're kind of a Lanterns Corps affiliate. Our role in the Lanterns Corps server is called non-ring bearer. So that's kind of what Orion is. We have an Indigo one, a bunch of assorted Green Lanterns, and then Flash and Wonder Woman, who are also in the Justice Foundation, are there with me. And I'm kind of an experiment for the chapter model that we're working on. So obviously the Flash one's there, Flash family chapter, Bat family chapter, et cetera, et cetera. So I was kind of the guinea pig for how that model seems to be working, and so far so good.
What was it like? Were you a founding member of the Justice Foundation?
Yes, me and the Flash are the main two founding members.
Hmm.
There were other people that kind of came and went in those early days, but me and Flash are the only ones left.
Hmm. What was it like starting a superhero team?
It was interesting because we came at it from the avenue of cosplay first, and that as a gateway, and there wasn't much precedent for that. So it was very, very interesting. I will say, at the very, very early days of Justice Foundation, I was Batman, always the Flash. But in the very early days of the Justice Foundation, I was Batman, and at some point, we realized the dynamic we had was much closer to the Flash and Green Lantern.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, man, I'm kind of really relating to the Hal Jordan guy. And then in January 2023, it just light switch.
Well, I would like to thank you for taking the time to join me before we get to our final questions. Thank you, Justice Foundation, Green Lantern. Your work is very inspiring, and I love how you and your team encapsulate these very iconic DC heroes.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for giving me the chance to represent us And special shout out to Nightwing and Batgirl for recommending me to you. Um, I was very honored when they did that. So thank you. It's been great.
So my first final question is, do you have an origin story?
Yes, actually. Okay. Um, so I really don't know how I didn't come around to the Green Lantern thing sooner because I have I joke I have a so-so Sinestro. So when I was 12, 13, I had this best friend and we wanted to be real life superheroes. We were going to do original characters at the time, and all of that. And any conversation that we had about our hero work eventually diluted down to me trying to stop him from killing people. Um,
Oh wow.
it was just any conversation, and we had he ended up being, this. I think he's a like a clinical sociopath. Um, so I had a falling out with him um, when I was about 14, um, and I kind of put it down for a few years after that until eventually I met my now best friend, the Flash, um, and we started talking about like making these characters' powers real because they have their electric skates that they built, um, and all of that, and we were going to load me up with bat gadgets and everything at the time before I settled on Green Lantern. And
Real Sinestro, that's kind of crazy.
I know. Again, I don't know how I didn't come around to the Green Lantern thing sooner.
What would you like to say to anyone who feels powerless in the face of the world's adversities?
Well, um, there is always something. There is always someone to help. Um, and the way I see the world in this chaotic, just massive ball that it is, um, it's not this, our universe, it's so massive and it's so nonsensical and chaotic. And a lot of people take that to say nothing matters, nothing I could do could ever fix anything. And I take that as it's beautiful because we get to choose what matters. Um, and my philosophy is that everyone has gifts, everyone is special, and we have the responsibility to share our gifts with the rest of the world and use them as a force for good. So, put it simply, help who you can with your gifts.
The final question this is a bit of a joke question, but who is your secret identity?
Oh, well, I'm a test pilot.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Um, but no. I don't really. I'm just a normal guy. I when it really comes down to it, I think again, like I was saying before, I think anyone can do this. Do I think it takes discipline and hard work and strong mental fortitude? Absolutely. But I think anyone is capable of doing what I'm doing, and I don't think you need a tragic origin story or anything like that. You just have to want to do good.
Mm. Well, thank you, Green Lantern. I very
Absolutely.
much enjoyed this interview.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for giving me the chance to represent my team.
Yeah, of course. You guys are doing great work.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Green Lantern.
Later.